The front door of our apartment swung open with barely a sound. And that's when my world cracked wide open. I stood frozen in the entryway, keys still dangling from my fingers, staring into the living room where the man I was supposed to marry in 3 days had his arms wrapped around my mother. Sophia's silk blouse was half unbuttoned, her laughter low and breathless as Alex's hands rested on her waist. They hadn't noticed me yet. The late afternoon light filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the couch where I'd planned our honeymoon details just last week. My heart didn't race. It simply stopped, leaving an empty hollow in my chest. I should have been at the nail salon picking out a soft blush polish for the big day. Instead, I was witnessing something that would haunt me forever. Alex turned first, his easy smile vanishing into pale shock. Sophia followed, her perfectly styled hair slightly mussed, eyes widening as recognition hit. Neither spoke at first. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of Seattle traffic outside our Capitol Hill apartment. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just looked at them for what felt like an eternity, taking in every detail, the familiar scent of Sophia's perfume mixed with Alex's cologne, the engagement ring I'd given him glinting on the coffee table beside her heels. My mother's heels, the ones she'd worn to our engagement party. It was all so absurdly real. Without a word, I turned and walked back out, leaving the door ajar. Let the silence swallow them. Let them feel the weight of what they'd done. That moment wasn't the end of my pain. It was the beginning of my clarity. If someone had warned me years earlier that the man who made me feel safe would betray me with the woman who raised me, I would have dismissed it as impossible. Alex wasn't just my fiancé. He was my anchor after years of feeling adrift. We met 4 years ago in a cozy bookstore cafe downtown, the kind with mismatched mugs and rain-streaked windows overlooking Puget Sound. I was buried in textbooks for my graphic design program, stressed and alone after a rough breakup. He approached with 2 coffees, that warm, disarming grin lighting up his face. "This one helped me when life felt too heavy," he said, sliding a self-help book toward me. We talked for hours that day, and it never really stopped. Alex was thoughtful in ways that made me believe in forever. He remembered little things, my favorite rainy day playlists, how I took my coffee strong with oat milk. He didn't push, he waited until I was ready. When he proposed during a quiet hike in the Cascades last summer, kneeling on a mossy overlook with Mount Rainier in the distance, tears streamed down my face before he finished asking. It felt destined. Perfect. And Sophia? She seemed thrilled at first. My mother had always been vibrant, the life of every gathering with her sharp wit and flirtatious charm. She adored Alex immediately, complimenting his ambition as a marketing executive, laughing too loudly at his stories, dropping by our place with homemade meals more often than necessary. At the time, I chalked it up to her being supportive. "You finally found someone worthy," she'd say, squeezing my hand. She'd linger during wedding planning sessions, suggesting color palettes and venues I hadn't asked about, her touches on Alex's arm lingering just a second too long. I'd tease her about it. "Mom, are you sure you're not the one marrying him?" She'd laugh it off. But now those moments replay like warning signs I ignored. Alex would chuckle awkwardly and redirect to me. Or so it seemed. My closest friend since college, Ryan, wasn't convinced. As Alex's groomsman, he pulled me aside once after a family dinner. "Something feels off about him. Emily. Too polished. Like he's performing." I brushed him off. Defensive. "Not everyone's out to hurt me. Ryan. Stop worrying." Hindsight makes those conversations sting the most. There were tiny cracks I dismissed. The inside jokes between Alex and Sophia about family traditions, private texts she'd send him about wedding logistics that he shielded from my view. Once I found her scarf in his car, and he claimed she left it after dropping off groceries. I believed him, because love makes you blind to the obvious. The January weekend, he vanished for 2 days. He said he was scouting surprise honeymoon spots. I pictured romantic getaways, not whatever secret meetings happened in her condo across town. That night after catching them, sleep evaded me entirely. I paced my apartment, replaying every overlooked moment. Sophia's sudden interest in tighter outfits when visiting, her calling him dear, even in front of my dad before their divorce years ago. The way Alex's phone lit up with her name late at night, dismissed as just checking details. Doubt turned to nausea as pieces connected. I needed more than my word against theirs. I needed proof that this wasn't some fever dream. The next evening, I called Ryan. My voice barely held as I described the scene. He didn't question my sanity. He simply said, I knew something was wrong. Ryan had noticed Alex's nervousness around Sophia mentions. Spotted his car near her building once when he supposedly canceled plans for family time. He offered to help discreetly. Ryan worked in tech security and knew how to access deleted data without crossing too many lines. What he uncovered in those chat logs and cloud backups shattered any remaining hope. Selfies exchanged, flirty messages spanning months. One photo hitting hardest, Sophia in my gifted silk robe. The one from last Christmas that she claimed to hate, posing in our guest bathroom mirror. The timestamp matched a night I'd been out late working. It wasn't just physical betrayal, it was a deliberate, months-long deception painted over our shared life. The evidence piled up like weights on my chest. Deleted threads revealed planning sessions disguised as wedding help. Inside references to nights they spent together while I trusted them completely. One message from Sophia read, "She'll never suspect. We're too good at this." Alex replied with laughing emojis. My stomach churned reading it, but I forced myself through every word. This wasn't random passion. It was calculated. They mocked my excitement about the wedding, called me naive for believing in their support. Ryan sat beside me through the night, jaw tight, offering quiet presence rather than empty comfort. "We don't have to rush anything," he said softly. But I felt a shift inside, not just heartbreak, but resolve hardening like steel. I wouldn't crumble publicly yet. The rehearsal dinner was approaching, and I needed them complacent. I smiled through the pain, letting them think they'd escaped unscathed. Sophia arrived at the rehearsal venue in Bellevue wearing cream tones that bordered on bridal, directing staff with authority that should have been mine. Alex kissed my cheek, whispering how perfect everything looked, his breath warm against my skin like nothing had changed. Every touch burned, but I leaned into it, strengthening my mask. Ryan stayed close, his glances sharp whenever Sophia brushed Alex's arm. We exchanged knowing looks amid the clinking glasses and toasts to the perfect couple. Later, as guests mingled, Aunt Valerie pulled me aside. She sensed tension without knowing details. "Whatever's brewing, Emily, make sure it's rooted in truth. Don't let emotions cloud it." Her words anchored me. Unbeknownst to most, I'd left my phone recording when I walked out that fateful day, the door ajar a loud audio capture of their post-discovery conversation. Their laughter echoed cruelly, Sophia asking how devastated I looked, Alex assuring her I'd get over it like always. They speculated I'd stay silent to avoid shame, calling me a lost girl they'd easily fooled. Hearing it replayed through headphones hours later in my car, parked on a quiet Lake Union overlook, confirmed the depth of their contempt. I shared the recording selectively with Ryan and Aunt Valerie the following day. Their reactions, fury mixed with protective instinct, solidified my path. Valerie's hands trembled. "That woman stopped being your mother the moment she chose this." Ryan clenched his fists, ready to act but deferring to my plan. We weren't calling off the wedding outright. We'd let it proceed as the perfect stage for truth. The venue owner, Mr. Ellis, provided the final piece when I casually visited to confirm flowers. He mentioned spotting Sophia and Alex there alone the previous week, looking awfully close. I asked him to document it formally. His statement added an unbiased witness. Quiet planning consumed the days leading up. I wore my dress for fittings, twirling before mirrors where joy once lived, now replaced by cold focus. Friends posted couple goals online. Family praised Sophia's involvement. I let the facade hold, each compliment fueling my determination. Alex pulled me aside one evening after guests left, professing undying love, kissing my forehead like a benediction. I nodded along, whispering agreement, while inside I counted down to exposure. The betrayal cut deepest in its intimacy, my mother, the one who bandaged scraped knees and cheered my graduations. Now the architect of my deepest wound, Alex, who promised forever, reduced our bond to performance art. Yet amid the rage simmered questions of my own blindness. Had I ignored signs to preserve the dream? The legal and social realities loomed too, potential lawsuits over privacy, but evidence was ironclad and consensual recordings in private spaces held up in Washington state. Psychologically, I journaled furiously, therapy sessions helping separate self-worth from their actions. Ryan became my steady constant, bringing takeout from our favorite pho spot, watching old comedies without pressure. One night under porch lights at Aunt Valerie's where I temporarily stayed, he said gently, "You're stronger than this moment." No grand declarations, just presence that healed quietly. I wasn't ready for more, but his loyalty reminded me not all bonds shatter. Rehearsal night blurred into controlled chaos. The hall glowed with fairy lights and fresh florals, laughter bouncing off walls as friends toasted our fairy tale. Sophia commanded attention in her elegant attire, joking with Alex like old confidants. I circulated gracefully, accepting hugs while mentally cataloging every false smile. Dean no. Ryan stood sentinel, tension visible only to me in his tightened jaw. We whispered updates in the storage room amid stacked chairs, the flash drive with compiled evidence secured, projector tested discreetly. I replayed the strategy mentally, let vows approach, then interrupt with irrefutable proof. No outbursts, just facts delivered calmly. The recording's raw audio, combined with messages, photos, and Mr. Ellis's account, painted an undeniable picture. Legally sound, psychologically devastating for them. I imagined their faces when the room turned. Morning of the wedding dawned gray over Seattle, fitting the mood. I dressed methodically in the suite. The lace gown once dreamed over now armor. No butterflies, only steady breath. Ryan checked in constantly, eyes conveying solidarity. Guests filled the historic church downtown, whispers of excitement filling pews. Sophia beamed from the front in shimmering silver. Alex at the altar adjusting his tie nervously. Good. He should sweat. Music swelled. I walked the aisle deliberately, dress swaying, controlling each step like a countdown. Faces beamed, cameras flashed. At the altar, the officiant began. I halted the handoff, turning to the microphone. Before we proceed, there's something everyone needs to hear. Ryan activated the projector and speakers. Gasps rippled as the shaky video played, audio clear. Sophia's mocking laughter. Alex's dismissive words about me getting over it, their intimate admissions. The room froze. Mouths covered. Eyes widened. Sophia's regal composure crumbled into pallor. Alex lunged for the mic, yelling denial, but Ryan blocked him firmly. I continued evenly. There will be no wedding today. You all deserve to know the truth behind the lies. Shocked murmurs erupted, friends muttering disbelief. Family in tears. One groomsman whispered, "This can't be real." I descended the aisle alone, head high, into freedom. Outside, media vans arrived, tipped off somehow. Flashes popped. Alex pursued briefly, but Ryan ensured distance. Sophia stayed behind, broken. That night, the video leaked further, spreading online as Seattle wedding bombshell. Messages flooded. Condolences, admiration for bravery. Sophia texted once, "You didn't need to humiliate us." I blocked her without reply. Alex's career faced scrutiny as colleagues distanced themselves. The days post-wedding blurred into recovery. I moved fully to Aunt Valerie's guest room, surrounded by tea and quiet understanding. She never pried excessively, just offered space to process. Therapy unpacked layers, trust shattered by those closest. Self-blame for missed red flags. Journaling revealed how I diminished parts of myself to fit Alex's expectations, career dreams sidelined for couple goals. Ryan visited daily, patient and present. No pressure. No, I told you so. We rebuilt routines. Walks along the waterfront. Shared silences that spoke volumes. One evening he admitted,
"Seeing you stand up like that.
It showed me real strength." Our bond deepened organically, not rushed. Online, support communities grew around similar betrayals. I started sharing anonymously at first, then openly, helping others navigate pain. The story went viral regionally, sparking discussions on familial betrayal, consent in relationships, and public justice versus privacy. Legally, no charges arose, affairs aren't criminal, but the exposure carried social consequences. Alex relocated amid backlash. Sophia withdrew from social circles. Months later, smiles returned sporadically. Hobbies long abandoned resurfaced, sketching, hiking solo. I expanded beyond the betrayed bride label, reclaiming identity as Emily, designer, survivor, voice for the silenced. Rebuilding wasn't linear. Nights still brought replays, but mornings brought possibility. Ryan and I grew closer without labels at first, coffee dates evolving into deeper connection rooted in mutual respect. One porch conversation crystallized it. "I'm not broken anymore," I told him. He smiled. "You've always been whole." The community I fostered expanded, offering resources on healing from intimate betrayals, emphasizing evidence-based boundaries and self-advocacy. The central question lingers. When those sworn to protect you inflict the deepest harm, does justice heal? Or does forgiveness, for yourself, matter more? I chose truth over silence, freedom over facade. Today, I stand taller, not defined by scars but by the voice I found. The wedding that never was became the catalyst for authentic life. What would you do if faced with such betrayal? The choice shapes everything.